Hello, welcome everyone to RWD's first podcast. And before we get things started, I just want to go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Alonzo Walker. I am the marketing and sales manager for RWD. And I honestly do a little bit more than just marketing and sales, just kind of making it easier on these guys' lives.
For sure. And he always does, and we always appreciate Alonzo. I'm Isaiah with RWD Defense. I'm on here as a co-founder of the company, and I'm one of the lead instructors here for RWD Defense. Police officer, it's my daytime job. I've been doing that for about 4 years now. Before that, just playing college football with Andrew. You guys will meet him in a second, but pretty much just been a cop for the last 4 years.
What's going on, world? That's Charles Riley. I am also a co-founder. Don't let Zoe short sell himself. He's also one of the board of advisors, one of our main people that we go to for contact with, whether it's marketing, sales, like he said, or just for advice in which direction we're moving. For me, I'm a training coordinator with Dakota County. I train a lot of staff, probation officers, correctional officers in the facility, and we work wonders, man. So I'm going to pass it to Andrew.
Thank you, Chuck. Yeah, I'm Andrew, one of the other co-founders with the team here. I most recently was a safety and security specialist for Minneapolis Public Schools. I spent my whole adult professional career working with youth, from shelters to park boards, nonprofits, and that's most of my main background. I'm also a high school wrestling coach. So looking forward to talking about safety with you guys, getting to know you more. You guys get to know us, and I'm gonna let Ruben introduce himself over here.
Thank you. It's a lot to live up to. Training coordinator, police officer, coach, all that stuff. No, I'm glad we're all together. I'm Ruben. Met all of these guys through a bunch of different stuff you guys are gonna hear about later. Currently probation officer, so I work here in the city, in the county. It's where I grew up at. It's where I live. It's place I like to be at, place I love. So it's fun being with these guys, people that work in the community. We've been doing this thing for years, all the same mindset, all on the same page. So I think RWD is literally like a work of the universe, truly like bringing all of these 4 people from 4 different areas in this public service world together to give back to other people here in the community.
Yeah, I met Ruben at the police department I work at now, actually. We were both CSOs together, community service officers. So, Ruben, you want to get into just how this became a deal?
It's intriguing he says that. I'm not sure if the mic caught that, but it's intriguing he says that. I'm going to focus on that word. He's laughing. I like that laugh. It all worked together truly. Like, I'm telling you, like the universe. Lee was just speaking to someone about it at our first training at Neighborhood House 2 weeks ago. Literally 2 weeks Thursday. Literally 2 weeks ago, someone asked me, how did this come about? I said, literally the universe. What I mean by that, so Isaiah said I met him in 2018.
Yep.
At work, first time officially. Funny story behind that, though. We met indirectly through school. So we all three went to Concordia. And we were in the same online class. I remember the first time I met him. We're in the office. He goes, I'm like, oh, yeah, I go to Concordia. He goes, oh, I go to Concordia, too. And I'm thinking, like, Isaiah Walker, that name sounds familiar. And he knew my voice for sure. How?
By this. I mean, you guys are probably already annoyed.
No, so look it. So we had an online class together. Forget what the class was. And I'm a very, what's the word I'm
teacher's pet. This man cannot shut up. Dude was answering.
I'm an engaged student. I'm an engaged student.
That's the way to word it.
Right, and it's a 6 to 8 p.m. class. It's 2 hours. Teacher's talking about, I don't know what the teacher was talking about. Point is, ask questions to online class of 20-something people. No one's answering. I'm getting my value out of my private education, right? So I'm going to speak about what's going on. And he was in that class. And that's how we knew each other indirectly. And from there, it literally all kind of snowballed, worked. We both held that same position as CSOs I was there for
About 2 days.
times 600, yeah. Times 600. But no, yeah, truly. From there, literally, so I'm working there. For people who don't know what a CSO is, it's a community service officer. So you are responding to non-emergency calls in the city. Animal control, literally a lot of things, helping the officers in that city with whatever it may be, from transports, which are very intriguing. If you've never been in that situation, you go to a jail and you're pretty much bringing a person that was arrested for whatever reason on a charge. It's a very, literally, truly, it's like a interesting experience being on the other side of it, like walking into jail, hearing that door click, boom, it closes behind you, it clicks, and you have the other side of the world on the other side. And that's where I found Charles.
That's
where I found. Look,
did you forget the plan?
No,
of this
this
story?
this is where I found. So,
I'm
it's
just
all
asking.
a method behind. It's all a method behind the madness.
just like hearing
and
yourself.
later, a few years down the road, that's how I met Charles, working on that other side of the world. We worked at a detention center down at Dakota County. Again, same thing. I know the first time I met Charles, we were kicking ideas back and forth. Same thing. I don't want to work forever. We want to bring something about that's useful, literally, to a lot of people. So once I had seen that his mind was there, I knew there was something that we could do, and it just clicked one day. We're working. We're doing a training.
Yeah,
We're literally getting trained on Zoom to go into it.
No, when you brought that up, we were just talking. We're both control force instructors, and I remember Ruben. We used to have conversations early in the morning about different things, and starting a business was one of them. It's like, how can we put how can we put what we do daily to use, and how can we benefit other people? And that's where the idea came about. And Ruben, he said, man, I got my friend. I want you to meet my friend, man. You guys think the same way. And that friend happened to be Andrew, or we call him Cap.
Cappuccino.
But that friend happened to be Cap. And as the pieces aligned, this was, again, last year. And everything clicked, and Ruben continued to follow up and push through. And I'm just like, I'm ready whenever. And a few months ago, actually, we all met at this spot.
Literally at this exact table. Yeah.
And, I'm going to let Cap go, but I met Cap and Zay the same day, and, we just been active ever since. So, yeah.
Before he gets into it, the reason I said he reminds me a lot of Cap, he walked into the building one day, and kids are asking, what do you do over the weekend? Man, it's Saturday. I woke up in the morning, drank my coffee, and watched Shark Tank all day. I'm like, that's a Cap. 100, yeah, 100% a Cap. Literally, the second he said that, I'm like, all right, cool, yeah, that's Cap.
Real quick, I want to ask. So, RWD, Real World Defense, was that was a name that you guys came with, like presented with Cap, right?
Yeah.
So there had to be some other names that y'all came up with.
I'll show you. It's kind of embarrassing. It's literally only two. The first one, the very, very first one was Real World Defense. Texted it to Chuck and a few other coworkers. Shout out Nick. Shout out Jess. Let them both know about the name. Second name is very bad. This is the first time you guys are gonna hear the name. I think I might have told Cap about it. It was, hold on, I don't have the exact text, but it was Full Throttle Defense.
Full throttle.
I don't know why that was one, but
Doesn't roll off the tongue.
it doesn't exactly. But
Full
no,
Throttle Defense.
yeah, I don't know, but
That might be a little catchy.
yeah, maybe for the future, keep your eye out.
We knew we had a winner with Real World Defense, though. I know me and Ruben were we were watching the Vikings
Vikings
game at the
versus
bar.
Giants.
And as soon as he
Vikings
told me
versus
about it, I pulled out my phone and bought the website
Yes.
right then, because I'm like, let's just lock this in. It's such a great name. I think the question everybody has right now, what the heck is Real World Defense? What do we do? So you guys got to know a little bit about us, but as far as the business and what we offer to share, you've heard some of our stories, our backgrounds, what we do for work. And one of the beautiful things about this business is having some experience in other businesses. It's a blessing to be able to bring a business to life that helps people, and it's a net positive, right? There's a lot of ways to make money. There's a lot of different ideas out there, but the core values of Real World Defense is something that we truly believe in. And what we offer is workplace safety training, self-defense training classes, helping individuals and workplaces become a more safe place. Obviously, we've all been through a number of scenarios through our professional careers where we've seen the lack of skill sets out there and how it leads to, unfortunately, pretty disappointing situations a lot of the time. It makes things a lot more difficult when a crisis is occurring. So we brought these skill sets together, which you guys have heard from us, and it's a lot of fun for us because we've lived it. So teaching it is like second nature. Of course, we're bringing our expertise and sharing our stories, but our main focus is going into places and helping them feel more prepared, more confident, and more empowered to just respond to emergencies, prevent them from happening in the first place. And that's a net positive for society, especially working with kids, myself, my background. We could talk stories for hours about the things we've seen. But that is what we bring to the table as a business. Each of our skill sets are so different. I can definitely echo what Ruben said about the universe bringing us together. It's great doing business with some of your best friends as well. So big things coming. But that's a brief overview of what we're doing right now. Obviously, if you guys are following us, if you're listening to us, you can always pick up tips and tricks from us. But we're going to keep bringing more content and more expertise your guys' ways.
Well said. I mean, we can probably just end the podcast right there. Right?
RWD.
Zay, what's going on?
Railroad defense, baby. No, it's definitely challenging, right? Bring a close group of people together and try to build that empire, if you want to say. It's tough, right? We all have different lives. Some of us have kids. Some of us are working full-time jobs. Some of us are running our own business. So there's a lot going on here, and this group is something special. So I think a lot of people say that a lot, but if you see kind of our product, if you see us on social media, you see the high drive, the high energy that we bring, and the knowledge we bring is something different for sure. I just wanted to highlight a couple. I've never ran a business. This is my first time running a business. I've been involved in a couple of my brother's business. If you guys didn't know, obviously we're brothers. We kind of look alike. Some people say that. I don't think so. He's older, I'm smarter, but yeah, we're brothers. So
Well said.
I just wanted to ask, like, is this something, when you heard of the idea, is this like another one of your business ideas that you thought of when we brought this idea to you? Same thing with you, Cap. You run a lot of businesses. I know you have some background in business too, Chuck, but I'm not totally in tune with that.
You guys have known each other for how long?
Like 7 days, literally.
Pretty much like 2.5. I ain't
Like
gonna
13 days.
He said 17 minutes. How long have you been on this
No, in all
podcast for?
seriousness, I wanted to highlight some of like you guys' past businesses, successful, failed, and it could just be brief.
I mean,
Bounce houses.
I know, right? Cap and I, yeah, we were in the bounce house business until we sold it. But going back to what Isaiah said, just I guess when I brought what RWD was, I mean, it's a lot, you know what I mean? Especially for a company or a business that is its own entity. Like, there's nothing else really like it. So
Not even really like period.
No, you know,
Literally.
what I mean? So it's
period.
so to wrap your mind around something that you weren't there as, like they were saying, they're the co-founders of this thing. So to kind of like grasp what RWD is and what they're about and what the main focus was definitely intriguing, and that's why kind of okay, yeah, let me see what these fellas got going on. Especially if there's 4 of you guys, if there's this many people on one subject. I mean, obviously this gold that is just be waiting to be dug up, and you guys are seeing it. You know what I mean? So it's definitely it was hard in a sense a little bit for myself, just because, like I said, I have owned a couple businesses myself. I started my resale business back in 2020, literally in the middle of the pandemic, and I actually quit my job in October, I think, October of 2020. I quit my job to take on reselling full time, and I haven't had a quote unquote job since. So, I mean, definitely it's been grind. But like I said, when I got brought to RWD, and I was like, I could definitely see it. And like I said, I've been in business with both my brother and Cap, and these two both see potential in this as well. But like I said, it was just hard for me in a sense because, like I said, I own my own business. When I was working, I was a manager at T-Mobile, so I've always been like my own boss, my own leader kind of figure. So to come into something that was already established, and obviously we all have great ideas, and when we bring it to the table, and it's good to have back and forth, especially with people like this. And like I said, it was just tough. I'm a dad. I mean, just that father leader figure is just the role that I like playing in. So I guess the most challenging part for me was just kind of finding my role in RWD and nailing that down. I'm like, okay, this is what is important for you guys that I need to go ahead and handle.
And I think that's something that's really cool, that when I brought it up to Cap in that playoff game, Vikings versus Giants, bad game, but I brought it up because I had this idea. I spoke with Chuck about it, spoke with a few other coworkers about it, but I've literally never done nothing at all close to this. So I had no idea how to go about it. I know I'd come back from work and my brain would be stuck on, oh, real world defense. What should we do? What can we do? So I started like the basic Googling stuff, right? And Chuck would tell me, oh, we need this, we need X, Y, and Z. All right, cool. I don't know how to do that though. So that's why I'm so happy when I brought up to Cap that he has experience in this world that I know for sure I don't have, or even having a clue of pretending to have. So that helps a ton in bringing it to life, because I was just talking about it at work yesterday with a few coworkers. I've been talking it up like crazy. Like, oh, we had our first training the other week. I had a coworker that was saying, oh, I thought you were just like joking about it, because I've been talking about this literally for like a year. You know what I mean? Just had no idea. Literally just had no idea how to start it or how to go about it. And I think that's something that's super important when it comes to things like this. If you're going out on a new venture, whatever it may be, just bringing people along or mentioning it to people, because they can help you out. I think that's
get into existence. Yeah.
Fact. No, honestly, that too. And like literally, like having that guide makes things way more easier. In a sense of the back end stuff, right? Because again, like Andrew spoke about a little bit, the stuff that we talk about our training is things that we've lived every single day. That's nothing that's new to us. On the other side of it, though, that paperwork finding out that we have to do all this extra stuff, I had no idea about. So having that guidance really helped a lot. I think having you here too helps a lot too, knowing going through the motions in the past, right? You guys are able to help out and maybe give us some tips on, the first, second, third business that you guys started. Oh, I wish I would have done this my first one. Mm-hmm. Boom. Now we're starting out almost like 10 steps ahead. We have two people that have X amount of experience. And if they look back on their first business, like, man, I really wish I would have done this. Now it's my first one, Zay's first one. I'm not sure about Chuck's, but right? Literally, it's like one of the ones.
It's my second one, but it's my baby.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, hold it near and close to your chest. Yeah. It's one of those ones where you're able to start out like 10 steps ahead because of people that are on the team that already know a little bit of the ways. So it's been helpful, very helpful.
I'll say, excuse me, one of the beautiful things about that is, had you sat me down on a podcast 2 years ago, I would have been saying the same exact thing you're saying. I've never started a business. I have no experience in business. And the beautiful thing about business is the only way you learn is by doing it. And you're going to fail, right? Like I'm sure me and Alonzo, we've talked about it plenty of times in car rides at 6 a.m. to go set up a bounce house, just the previous failures we've had in business. And we know that we're probably going to have some failures in RWD at some point. But when we got back to the topic of starting a business and just the character traits it takes, that was never anything I've ever doubted with this group. I mean, I played football with Isaiah, been best friends with Ruben. I've known Alonzo as long as I've known Isaiah, and Chuck just fit right into the group, somebody we could trust right away.
Facts.
And, that makes starting a business a lot easier when it's with people that you can trust, and the biggest thing is trust their work ethic and the decisions they're going to make. I did have a thought when you brought up that question, though, because I'm sitting here. Obviously, the viewers don't know us yet, but I never had a doubt about anybody's ability here to start a business or do a business. But I thought of a question that made me curious, and this is something we've talked about as a group with the situations we've been in, with the experience we bring to RWD. What is it about your guys' selves that you can look back on from your life that makes you believe, or you're surprised that you led into the career field you're in, or that you are able to have that expertise and deal with these situations? Because I know for myself, when I first started working at a shelter, and the first time I got in a situation with a weapon or violence or threats or serious crisis, without ever having any training for those situations in my life, something about my personality was able to respond in a way that eventually became effective. Obviously, I made a ton of mistakes along the way. I learned a lot. And I think when I think for myself, I'll answer quickly and then open it up to you guys. I think it all stems from just caring about people. Like a lot of times you see these crises, you see these dangerous situations, and it leans into people not caring enough about one another, or people in the situation not caring about other people around them. And whenever I was in a position at work or in the community or doing my job, and it was a safety situation, I realized the more you care about people, the more level-headed you are in your response, the more you're able to walk through the scenario to get to a point where how does everybody get out of here safely? How do we do the least amount of harm? How do we build those relationships? And I just think it's something interesting because we've been in these situations. Isaiah's in them literally every single day in the streets, and you see how other people respond, and you got to ask yourself the question, what makes us different? Obviously, we're hoping to bring some of that with our training, But what is it about maybe your life, or have you ever done some reflecting on what gave you the skill set that you have to be successful in the work you do? And that's an open question for anybody.
One thing I love about Cap is he's so well spoken. Like, that was a teacher question he just hit us with. Like, dang, like it was one of those questions where you got to think a little bit. You know what I mean?
Ready though.
Like, it was meaningful, but like, dang, I love it. I love it.
I was gonna jump in and say I think a lot, and I know for me specifically, and it could probably tie into Ruben a little bit. I know him a little bit and his background and how he grew up, and just a little bit about Chuck. But I think it has to do a lot about obviously being raised, and that sounds like a cliche answer, but obviously we were brothers, been in the same household until we were adults and had kids and moved out. But Alonzo can contest to this, but my dad instilled safety in our heads every day. I mean, it was different. We don't tell a lot of people, but we're from North Minneapolis. I know Ruben likes to joke and say I'm from a suburb in Minnesota, but we moved to the suburbs when I was 10, 11. So, hey, so whatever. Tomato, right? Like he likes to say. But my dad was into security. He was into safety. And growing up in North Minneapolis, you just had to be safe, and you had to look out for the people you love. So instilling that in when I was a young kid at that age, and just driving around saying, you don't want to be like these guys over north. And I mean, we were in fights every single day. So conflict, when it comes to physical conflict or verbal altercations, it's normal to me, honestly. I mean, I played college football with Cap, and that was every day at practice, either in the locker room, on the field. We're surrounded by chaos, and I like to call it controlled chaos. But that's how we grew up, and that's what I knew. And sitting at Augsburg University in my freshman year of college, playing college football there, I sat there and I was going to school to be a FIAD teacher. And I was going to coach football and teach gym. That's everyone's dream, right, as a football player.
90% of us.
And I was going to do that. First class I had to take, it was my first year, freshman year. I had to do 150 hours of community service, or like observation hours in the classroom. I did half those, and I dropped out of that class. It wasn't for me. I felt like, obviously, teaching, there's a lot you can give back. It just wasn't my way of giving back. During that time, I believe Philando Castile's ordeal was going down. Some of the social injustice was playing in the news. And then that's when I told myself, I'm going to go to school to be a law enforcement officer. I've already told my family that I was in school to be a chiropractor or a cop. And then I was like, why don't I just make this a reality? So went to school, became a CSO, and even becoming a community service officer with Ruben, that really kind of painted that picture of what this job really entails.
Yes.
How far can you help people? Just as a community service officer, going to a call where a dog bit somebody or bit a kid, and the way you can console them and make them feel better made me feel better. And I know that I can get that not that I'm chasing that feeling, but it makes you feel better when you're doing something that's helping the community. So I think that's what painted that picture for me when I was, 20,
That's what I was about to say. You know what's crazy? We were doing that job at like 19 years old.
Yeah, that is nuts.
Hey, you are chasing it, though. That's what makes you a great police officer.
Right.
You are chasing the feeling of helping people. So
Right. And I
don't
wanna make it
downplay
seem
that.
like
We want everybody to be going for that. You're addicted to helping people, bro.
Right.
That's all right.
That's not a bad thing, right?
Go ahead and chase it, literally and figuratively.
No, and so basically, long story short, I think my answer to your question is for sure my upbringing and then my life experiences through that. Fighting through some adversity. We're not going to get too much into it, but a lot of us at this table has been through a lot of things in life. Just like everyone that's watching this, or we wish are watching this, probably had a lot going on in their life and jumping through a lot of hurdles and adversity. And some of those things make you stronger and want to give back to help people who are either younger or just don't have this knowledge yet to continue to grow. So,
Yeah. You hit it on the head, man. For me, I would say it kind of goes with that. As a young kid moving from Chicago to Iowa, you can imagine the culture shock that comes with that, especially that first group. And anybody could attest to this who lives in Iowa. Law enforcement didn't know how to deal with young minority youth coming from inner city Chicago. So it was a lot of trouble happening. A lot of things we were doing as youth from being bored. And not knowing what to do, didn't have any guidance. So we got in a lot of trouble. And fortunately for me, I had mentors that I still have to this day that guided me on a route. Even though I was still getting in trouble, they always instilled something in me because a youth's mind is very fertile. So you're able to say something, or even your actions are able to produce something into someone that allows them to change. And when I went to college, I went to school for business actually, and we had a freshman like assembly, you know. And I go back to speak to my college next week, so this story.
Hey, shout out! It's first
you know,
we're hearing of that.
so, yeah.
Congrats, Chuck.
Yep. But we had a freshman assembly. We were supposed to read the book The Other Wes Moore. And this book talks about two guys named Wes Moore from Baltimore, which they got the same name, but they took two different routes in life. One became like a militant, you know, Marine, you know, he conducted himself in a proper way, and one became a criminal, probably charged for murder, I think. But that was our summer read. So when we make it to this, like, you know, freshman orientation assembly, they're talking about the book The Other Wes Moore, and they're making it about race and environment and all these different things. And, you know, all the professors up there was a private college, and they're talking about all the things that they do for their kids to keep them out of trouble, whatever the case may be. But what they didn't know that they was putting all the minorities, not just black, but whatever race, whatever gender, into a box. And they passed the mic around to talk about the book. So I was shaking bad. I was nervous at public speaking, but I always spoke my mind. I was always inspired by people like Tupac, right? So when they passed the mic around, I raised my hand. They bring me the mic, and I stand up, and I'm shaking. And I say, like, that book isn't about race. It's not about environment. It's about choices, right? We all have choices that we have to make, and I go on a little tangent about a bunch of different things, but just so happened one of the sociology professors, Mr. McQueen, he was up there and he said, "Young man, you just spoke about 4 different social theories in one statement." He said, "I need you to stop by my office tomorrow." And from that day forward, I majored in sociology and criminal justice. Just by my experience in life allowed me to understand those different perspectives. And I took on the criminology route, criminal justice route, with that. And I wanted to be a cop like Isaiah. But
Don't do it.
While
I'm kidding.
while working in college, I
he's not.
work with youth in particular, and I wanted to utilize my degree, but also continue to work with kids because they are so shapeable, and you do have that ability to, you know, really work with them and create impact. So that's the route I took. And again, I started as a correctional officer, went to a probation officer, then I went to a training coordinator, and I'm the youngest training coordinator within Dakota County. So that's been good. And that's give back to the kids, give back to the people. I think the highest human act, and I heard this from Nipsey Hussle, and I live by it, is to inspire people to change. And whatever you can do to provide that value to people, whether it's what we're doing to make somebody feel more safe and secure, or, you know, provide somebody that little nugget of information to, you know, guide them. That's the thing that helps me sleep great at night. So that's me. That was a great question, Kat. That one got me, look, it got me ready to cry up
Great
here.
answer.
You know, I'm nervous.
It sounded like you was about to cry. I was about to grab you some tissues real quick.
You never went to school for criminal justice at all, right? Or like wanted to be a cop? I think we all have,
So
besides Cap.
kind of a funny story. Not really funny, but when I went to community college before I came up and met these gentlemen in Minnesota. I'm originally from Arizona. Shout out to the Scottsdale Community College Fighting Artichokes. But so when I was transferring,
That sounds made up.
Wait, that's real?
yeah, it's real. We hosted the Pro Bowl too one year for practice.
What's your
so
mascot?
The Fighting Artichoke. It's an
Like,
actual artichoke in a costume. Yeah, our slogan was "Choke 'em out." So don't play about us.
Hey, as they said back
play
in the
about
day,
us.
wow.
He said number 1 in the state for wrestling.
Yeah.
He said,
But
say another word.
so I was down in Arizona. I had already graduated from community college, so I had my associate's degree, and I was still pursuing this dream of playing football. But I had a gap period. I was basically just painting houses full time. But essentially, I'm 3 months into painting houses. No clue if I want to keep playing football. No clue where I'm moving. No clue what I'm doing with my life. I get the phone call from the coach up at Concordia St. Paul. They offer me a scholarship, and I pretty much committed within like 48 hours just because I was like, all right, I get another chance to play football. I'm going to do that. But going back to your original question, so when I called the school, mind you, I'm already 3 years into college, so I should be graduating in 1 more year, and I'm going up for another 2. She says, well, the only 2 degrees you can get, because I never took math, I didn't take science, I was taking the football classes. She was like, well, you can major in sociology or criminal justice. And it's funny you asked that because at that period in my life, my first response was, I definitely don't want to be a cop, so I'm doing sociology. And I had to Google it to find out what it was. And funny enough, when I took sociology, that kind of inspired me to the route of like, oh, I get the work police officers do. It's actually inspiring, and I've had nothing but respect for it.
They call it the people's degree.
Yeah. So, I mean, I learned so much just indirectly through that choice of wanting to play football and choosing a random major, and it really changed my life. I mean, I wouldn't have done anything I'm doing today. I wouldn't be sitting here, but it's ironic because I was immediately like, I'm not doing criminal justice. I'm like, whatever that other degree was you said, that's what I'm doing.
Hey, sign me up for that other one you said.
And it was easy.
Hey, I feel
Always
that.
easy.
Yeah.
C's get degrees. I had straight A's though.
What was the question? I forgot.
What from your life experiences do you think gave you the skill set to be successful in safety and security work?
I think, wow. I think with me, the way I ended up in this world was through like trial and error. A lot of the jobs that I had a ton of jobs. I say this all the time. I had so many jobs growing up, dude. Like my dad, he worked at a restaurant. Him and his brother, our family, we owned a restaurant growing up, 2 restaurants. And every day, my dad would take me to work. If I didn't have soccer practice or school, I'd be at work with my dad, making guacamole, frying chips, being a server. Literally every single day. I remember there was one time. It's like in elementary school, like one of the friends I had wanted me to go to like a birthday party. I'm like, I can't, man. I got work. I'm a 5th grader saying I can't because I got to go to work, right? So that's just that work ethic that my family instilled in me. But yeah, trial and error through jobs. I worked at a restaurant for years as a little kid. Hated it. Probably learned to hate it because of that. I'm missing out on X, Y, and Z, and it makes me not want to be there. After that, I worked at a bank. I was an intern at a credit union. Hated that job too. It was cool being in that position at 17 years old. I'm a teller at a bank. I'm cashing checks, doing deposits. Fun experience, but knew it wasn't for me. It was boring. Worked retail, and that's where I think I kind of found or learned how to speak with people. Growing up, I was a very introverted kid, very in my shell. I was school, home, played video games, go to sleep, repeat. And working at retail, working at a shoe store really helped me. That was probably one of my favorite jobs I ever had. One, because of the discount. We got 30% off of shoes, 50% on holidays, back to school, and random days. So love the discount. But truly, just like you said, like on the different end of it, it was so fun, like going to work, and I'd meet a kid. I knew they were like shopping for back to school shoes, and he's so happy with his mom. They're buying all the accessories, right? Like the force fields, the suede cleaner, all that stuff, and they're leaving happy and excited. I'm like, man, that's cool. It's a great feeling to help people find what they want, and they walk out all both collectively happy. So I'm like, all right, cool. Working in this field working with people is fun, and literally just kind of went on to the route I'm in. So I think what helped me be successful here is through trial and error, right? Now, then when I finally got into a position where I'm literally doing safety and security for a living as a community service officer, police officer, correction officer, and now trial and error, you're going through the motions working. And again, I'm going to say this all the time. I literally, now that I'm 27, I can't believe 6 years ago at 21 years old, I had a gun on my hip and like a badge. Like that blows my mind, especially like knowing me, like being 100% honest. I was so immature at 21 years old in the sense of like, I'm just kind of learning myself, learning how to go about the world. And I'm dealing with things that I had never in my life thought I would see.
Weren't prepared for.
No, truly, really was not. I mean, and you can't really prepare for that.
Right.
You really can't.
Not to get on a tangent, but it's good that you recognize that.
Right, 100%.
And you stepped away from that.
And that's 100%. I remember when I sat down and spoke with the chief, he goes, "You're almost there, dude. We're gonna go talk and we're gonna have a plan. You'll be good to go." I'm like, dude, like my mindset when I come to work, I'm not here. This is not safe for me or the people I'm working with. I literally tell them like verbatim, told them, I'm like, dude, this
Can't
is not.
argue that.
No, yeah, literally, and I recognize it. Tell them like, dude, it's got to the point where I'm not like invested enough to the point where I'm 100% locked in the whole time.
Sheesh. Peace out.
No, but seriously, so I literally sat down and spoke with them like, yeah, dude, like this is not safe for me or the people I'm working with. Like, I'd rather not take that risk, you know. So I recognized it, and I knew ultimately, truly, I knew that I wanted to work with youth. I remember being in college, and I'm talking to my friends in the back of class about what we want to do. We're talking about cop and juvenile probation officer and being a cop. in my head, I'm thinking like, man, being a cop would be weak. You work holidays, you work weekends, you work overnight. You got to work a BS schedule for years, which is fact, right?
Facts.
And then I got into it, and as a CSO, it's funny, it's my first time saying it out loud, but as a CSO, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take this opportunity to get my foot in this criminal justice door and make my name be known, right? And I'll see where it goes. Did that job for 2 years, I think, and I really enjoyed it. Like you said, it's fun. You're out there, you're literally in the world. The world is your office, and you're just out there handling things as they come. And it's fun, like seeing yourself grow from the talking standpoint, from talking on radio. The first time you spoke on radio, nervous, like, oof, I'm going to take a breath. We're going to practice this 3, 4, 5 times.
Right.
Then to after the fact, you're doing things without even thinking about it. You know what I mean?
Crazy.
So really thinking about that progression, I think is cool to see in yourself and in other people. You're like, man, I remember when Isaiah first got on, he was speaking to this person. He forgot to ask their name and their phone number. We get back in the car. I'm like, how are we going to contact these people? He goes, their phone number. Looks in his notes, no phone number. You know what I mean? So little things like that, like focusing on what's really important at that time, even if it's not an emergency, right? We talk about this all the time in our training. When we handle these emergency situations, we're just like so tunnel vision on what's going on. And at that point, being so young and so green, dude, like it's not even no chaos, the most calm, collected situation ever. But you're just so nervous because it's the first time and you like forget basic things. You know, so seeing that progression is super cool, and I think it's translated the same thing to this
Welcome back.
position where
Thank you. He's still
It's-
talking.
yeah, a little bit.
I mean, that's
It's,
kind of
it's
like
translated perfectly to what we're doing right now, seeing the progression in not only in work but like now, man. 3 months ago, I wasn't thinking about RWD as much as I am now. You know what I mean?
I mean, kind of what you're talking about, we talk about in our trainings, right? Like, no matter how much training, preparation, life experience, I mean, you just heard us all answer that question with some deep, thoughtful answers. There's going to be a day where we run into a situation where we're still going to not have the right answer or the right response. And that's what makes safety and security work so difficult, because there's always a new challenge. I mean, you could talk to a police sergeant of 40 years and they could have a situation tomorrow that they've never encountered. I know working in schools, I mean, no amount of preparation or training that you receive prepares you for what you actually go through day to day, especially when you're responding to those critical incidents. And I think that's something that we really emphasize in our trainings and talk about a lot, because we've been there. And when you could recognize and highlight the fact that there's going to be moments where you maybe don't make the best decision, you don't have the best response, you're not in the right frame of mind, it's okay. What makes a professional in this field is the ability to just move forward from that and learn from those mistakes and learn to just respond differently the next time it happens. I mean, there's experience in every story, which leads me to my next question. I'm going to be the question master, but I'm going to ask Zoe this question to start it off because he hasn't got a chance on the mic in a minute. So this question is going to be, and hopefully we can bring a little bit of entertainment and not anything too triggering, because it's kind of a question that could potentially bring some of that up. So I'm going to ask that we keep it in a safe direction. But what is a situation that you encountered, or the first situation you can remember, an emergency in your life where you felt like you maybe froze or didn't respond, or you saw other people freeze or respond, and what's maybe a lesson you learned from it, or now with the expertise and experience you have, what's something that maybe could have been done differently, if you can think of something. But it could also just be a funny story of something that happened and it kind of shaped or changed your perspective in that moment. I mean, we could go back to childhood, we could go back to professional, however you want to take it. But I'm sure we all got a story where we kind of froze up in a situation dealing with safety, which is what we teach about. So maybe we can do a little teaching in here too.
If you ain't got one, I got one.
I
was good.
right now. Yeah.
I got one perfect for you. It was throwing us back. And it wasn't technically like freezing. I mean, I think we did freeze in the moment. I think he's going to start to remember when I start telling
You
the
talking about
story.
when we got jumped?
Yes.
I do remember now.
So I'm gonna tell the story. He's gonna jump in about kind of what he was going through at that time. This is from my perspective.
Facts. This is a really good one.
a
Actually,
really good story.
Yeah, this is a really good one.
Watch it not be a good story.
It flopped.
We'll be the judge of that.
So like I said before, we got into a lot of fights, and it mostly wasn't me. I'm not gonna lie. I have a bigger brother, older brother, 2 years older than me. He was usually fighting for me. If I was fighting, it was because he wasn't around. We were playing football, tackle football, because back then that's what we did. We
Yeah,
played
that's
none
how
of
it
this
was.
touch stuff, none of this flag stuff.
We
We're
was over
playing
north.
straight flag football.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, at the time, I was a little dude. I was a little guy. Like, I was small. I was a kid. Zoe was bigger, faster, stronger than everybody, and he went crazy. We threw this man the ball, and he literally stiff-armed this person, looked like Derrick Henry. It was dirty. Stiff-armed him, the dirtiest stiff-arm I've ever seen in my life. Scored. The team that we're playing was all from Farview. We're at Falwell Park over North Minneapolis. And we already kind of had some beef with Fairview.
It was weird back then. It was like parks. Like if you were from a certain park area, like that's who you claim and that's where you were from. So like a lot of Falwell kids didn't mess with Fairview.
It's still like that.
Right.
Oh, 100%.
It probably is. So we already had that beef between us, talking crap, jaw jacking. So Zoe stiff arms little buddy. It's funny because little dude had braids like me. He was a little buff little dude too.
He was a little stocky dude.
Zoe stiff armed him, scored. We're celebrating. We're all jumping up, and the whole team is not doing nothing. They're quiet. They're literally circling us. Dude gets up after being stiff armed and starts mother effing Zoe, cussing him out. It's just me and Zoe from our group of friends that we hang out with. I'm not gonna lie, we used to run around with a little clique. I'm not even gonna say the name of it, but none of our group was there. None of our little clique was there.
Y'all were nice at dancing.
It was just that was before the dancing. They weren't there, so it was just us two, pretty much, and our associates who we play on the team with that were at the park already. And the dude, literally, me and Zoe already packing up because we already know what time it is. These dudes are ready to fight. They're ready to jump us. We're not. It's not about to be that episode.
Well, yeah, because dude's circling, he's mad and he's saying that I punched him or hit him in his face, and I was like, "Come on, man, it's a stiff arm." Yeah, it was to the face, which, I mean, I guess you take it how you want to take it, and you took it as disrespect. You know what I mean? But
I mean, it is disrespectful. You see some of those stiff arms are disrespectful.
Oh, 100%.
But this is the first and only time up until now that I've seen what I'm about to say. So they surround us. Me and Zoe right there. We're next to our stuff. We're getting our stuff together because we already know what's about to happen.
I'm telling him, we're slowly. I'm like, Zay, grab your stuff.
Yep.
And he's like
whispering to me, grab your stuff.
Grab your stuff.
So we're slowly getting it together. The dude.
Well, before that, even I said, grab your stuff. Dude, punch me.
Well, that's what I was getting to. Was it before?
No, that was before that. That's why I said grab your stuff.
Before.
Yeah.
First and only time I've seen
that was the only reason.
In the face.
That was the only reason I said grab your stuff, because he punched you in my face, and I saw every single person react as if I was to react to him, they was gonna jump me right away.
And that's where that freeze comes into. After he got punched in the face, it felt like 2 minutes. It probably was like a 15-second freeze because he didn't say anything to me. And usually, I'm younger brother. Zoe's always got a plan for us to get out of there. He gets punched in the face. We're surrounded by literally 10 or 15 dudes. Mm-hmm. And we sit there for a couple seconds. And he looks at me, he whispers, grab your stuff. So we start slowly grabbing our stuff. Zoe didn't have to say anything else. He looks at me. We literally just foot it. We start running home. Ironically, we start running to our boy's house who lives right across the street. The police show up. The police come up. They're really cool about it this time, and they were chopping up with us. They were like, why don't you guys just play football about it? I'm like, that's what led to the fight. So they knew that we had beef and everything. But that was really the first time I actually seen you freeze in an emergency situation. Not that we're superhumans or anything. But
what's crazy about that is freezing was probably the best response.
Yes,
he was being the best big brother in the world.
Because
that saved y'all from getting jumped.
No, 100% cool, because 2 days prior, we seen these same group of dudes jump somebody at that park.
Jumping twins.
So I already knew that these guys were not on our side. You know what I mean? And so the best case scenario to keep him safe was we got to get out of there. And running was, I mean, unfortunately, like he said, that was the first and that's the only time I've ever been hit. And I just took it and we had to get out of there.
I think that's a great story to tell because it does speak to, even at that young age, the maturity to make that decision, right? Because, I mean, a lot of people would have gotten that fight and would have, their pride would have been out of the line. They would have said, we're fighting. They would have told their little brother, put your bag down, we're fighting.
No, 100%.
Instead of protecting them. So, I mean, I think it, that's kid stuff at the end of the day. It's a good story, and I'm glad you guys didn't get jumped. But they're always mad when they lose at the football game. That's how it always starts.
Mm-hmm. It's always the football game. It's always a football thing. Anything physical, you know what I mean? It's nuts. But no, that was a...
Who got the next story? Chuck, you missed the question?
I've been thinking about a freeze story. I don't know what's coming to mind.
I got one.
Go ahead.
It's not that entertaining, but I think it's actually like pertinent to what we're talking about. As I mentioned, like I got my first job really working in a, quote unquote, this wasn't a professional safety and security role, but I was a counselor at a youth homeless shelter. So crisis was essentially every day. It's funny because this was my first job out of school. Like I mentioned, I had never worked with a child in my life. I didn't even like kids. I had never coached. I had never volunteered. And for some reason, I thought it would be cool to sign up to work at a youth homeless shelter for my internship. Obviously, it all worked out well, but I'll never forget. I don't think I got any training at that job. I mean, there's so much turnover in these shelters. You get paid so little. They're essentially just want somebody to throw in there to supervise the kids. So the very first day I get this job, I'm doing an intake for a kid. He's a tough young dude. He's about 14 years old. And we had a rule that you couldn't wear a specific type of shoes or clothing in the shelter. Basically, if they were too expensive, because they didn't want the potential risk of the stuff getting stolen from kids. So if you had X pair of shoes on, you had to give them up, even if they're your own shoes, and other kids could wear their own shoes if they weren't expensive. So you could see how this would kind of make
that's crazy.
Kids feel some type of way.
Yeah.
So basically this kid's doing an intake, and I'm like, he's dripped out. Like he's got like his first day of school fit on, but I'm like, man, you're going to have to take this stuff off. And the kid immediately is like, I'm not taking F off. I'm going to beat the brakes off you. And I'm like, whoa. Like I'm telling you, I've never worked with a kid, and this is like a pretty big teenage kid just basically getting in my face, telling me to F off, telling me he's going to beat the brakes off me. All the other kids are just staring at me, and I didn't do anything. And it's funny because I was telling the story, I think, to Isaiah or Ruben the other day, and looking back on it, I can reflect now. And even though I didn't do what I was supposed to do, because you're not ever supposed to just be a punching bag, I didn't react in a way that made the situation worse. Because I was like, man, I could probably just let this kid talk to me all day. It didn't get under my skin. I didn't take it personally. I didn't escalate. I didn't tell the kid I was going to fight him. I didn't threaten him back. And, eventually he pretty much just wore out. I'm not going to lie. He went for like 2 hours straight. I mean, we finally calmed him down. Then we go to dinner. Then he's, literally eating his food, telling me he's still going to beat the brakes off me. Mind you, all these other kids are still just staring around, feeling uncomfortable. We going upstairs to play the Wii. He's still going to beat the brakes off of me. I'm like,
let him wear his shoes.
I'm like,
Go ahead,
I'm like, you about to call your phone right now, bro.
I'm like texting my girlfriend.
Go ahead and wear them shoes, bro.
I'm like, I don't know what I just signed up for.
bro.
This job is crazy. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, he eventually, actually, I take that back. I don't think he calmed down. He actually ended up getting transferred to JSC the first night he got there. I mean, the supervisor came upstairs, who was a lady. He got in her face, told her he was going to beat that. And then we pretty much he got, dismissed from the shelter.
He
but
beat the brakes off you, did.
Nah, not that time. Not that time.
He didn't get you that.
But if you're just talking about like the original point of the question, I will never forget the feeling in my stomach, because I'm just like, bro, I have never had a kid talk to me like this before. I didn't know what to do or how to respond. And it's funny because, like I said, to reiterate one more time, my supervisor's like, you handled that pretty well. She's like, way to not get back. I'm like, I handled that well. I'm like, I feel like I'm sweating right now. So, I mean, I think it just goes to show, and it's, to relay it back to what we do a little bit. I mean, a lot of the people we're training may have potentially never been in a situation like that yet. So if they can sit through 2 hours of a day and hear me tell a story of me getting cussed out and how I responded and what I learned from it, it's going to give them that much extra level of preparation for when they potentially get in that situation. But, I mean, like, you'll never forget that story of getting jumped. And, I mean, anybody who's worked in a job like this, you're not going to forget that first time where you basically, excuse my language, had that, oh, shit,
Yeah.
I didn't know this is what I signed up for. So, we're training a youth shelter in the Minnesota area here in a couple weeks, and their supervisor told me that they got a couple of brand new staff. So hopefully that's something we're able to kind of empower them with, share some of our stories and our experiences. But, I mean, that's not the only one I got. I'm not going to bore y'all, but that's not the only time I froze. So, I mean, there's levels to it, right? Because you see that's getting yelled at, right? And then the first time you see violence, or the first time you see a weapon, or the first time you see an injury, I mean, those are all different types of physiological responses, especially when it's something that you haven't been exposed to before. Unfortunately, some people see those things as kids and they're dealing with it at a lot younger age, so they might be desensitized. But if you're an adult and that's the first time you experience something like that, of course you're going to have that response that you've never experienced before. So it's kind of the training that we offer, and the more experience you gain in the work you do gives you that foundation for how you respond. But
I'm going to switch it up. I had a question. It's simple. And I'm going to start with Ruben. one thing you want to accomplish, fourth quarter, 2023, with this real world defense movement. What is it? One thing that you can pinpoint.
Let's block out like 30 minutes for this response.
Yeah, we got a lot of things to accomplish. That's why.
Is that one thing?
Get one thing.
I,
Fourth quarter.
one thing. I think truly, when you said one thing, the first thing that comes to my head without even thinking is getting RWD out there. In a sense of, we've been doing a lot of reaching out to people, reaching out to schools, shelters, restaurants, you name it. I think going to the next step, right? You see the T-shirt, you see the T-shirt, you see the T-shirt. I think it'd be really cool to walk out, go be at London Byerly's, getting my eggs and whatnot, and see someone.
Bro always says getting my eggs. That's his go-to. You forgot carrots, though.
You
forgot carrots.
Eggs are perfect. Breakfast, lunch, or dinner. You can eat at any time. But no, truly, I think it'd be cool. Right? Exactly. See? There's always a reason behind the things that I say. No, but I think it'd be really cool to like go out to like a grocery store, whatever it may be, and see someone like in a sweater. Like, oh, that's cool. Like, yeah, not, you know what I mean? Like seeing something like that. So kind of having to be like walked around. I think when we first started, you said building like an empire. There's so many different routes that I want to take this. And I think it'd be fun to just kind of have us out there in the sense of someone liking something that we do or liking our message enough to maybe buy a T-shirt and they wear it out just proudly or casually. I think that'd be really cool just to have someone support us enough to spend their money on us and support us that way would be super cool.
Not to point no elbows, but the person sitting right next to you go crazy soon. So.
For me, I would keep it short, simple, sweet, objective. I would say let's get 5 trainings done in Q4. So we got 3 months, so a little over 1 a month. 2 months we get 2 in there, but we're trying to grow this thing, and obviously it's brand new. A business takes time, especially when you're offering something that's not offered out there, and you gotta demonstrate the value that it provides, right? It's not a shiny object that you're scrolling TikTok and you go, oh, I want to buy that. Safety is a concept that a lot of people don't think about as much as they should, so it's a little bit more difficult to sell, but I know every training we do will increase the value we provide to our community. So I would say 5 trainings before 2024. What are we at? 2? So really we only got 3 more to book and get done. So that might not be the most ambitious goal, but we're going to knock it out of the park.
It's feasible. Zay?
Yeah, for me, I mean, again, this is my first time actually getting my feet wet and putting them on the ground and running as far as business aspect, but I think it's just impressive to see growth in any way. I think we sat here the first, 3 months ago when we first had this idea and we put it on a piece of paper and we wrote our ideas down and we had a timeline for things. And I think that was the first time I opened my eyes to seeing that stuff doesn't always plan out that way, right? We had timelines for stuff that we missed and there's stuff that we did faster than we had planned out for. But I think for me, taking a step back and going kind of with Ruben's answer and response, I just want to see our brand grow. A lot of the stuff we're doing right now is for free, and that's okay, and that's what part of building a brand is. I want to see us grow, and not saying that's bad for Ruben to bring up the shirt example, but beyond that, I want to hear our names being called on the radio. I want to hear everybody in our community know who we are and what our product is, and I think
What our mission is.
And I think a lot of that drive is coming from within us. And then after having our first training at the neighborhood house, shout out to them, thank you to them again. I found that fire in me and in all of us because this is applicable to real life, right? You get anything that you start off a business and you think, maybe this will work. I mean, you're about 99% sure that you're all in on it. There's still that 1% of doubt. And that's what I had. And again, new business guy. So I was a little doubtful, like maybe this isn't applicable. Maybe people are getting these trainings. Maybe they already know this stuff. But after hearing the responses and the feedback and just kind of how well we did with presenting our information and the knowledge we all have together and collectively, it's been a great deal here to see our growth. And I think that's what I want to continue to see, obviously. I don't have like a hard set number of trainings, but just to see our brand continue to grow. And we're seeing that through social media with Alonzo, and we're taking that next step and we're ramping things up. So you guys keep a lookout for that merch, everything. So
100%, definitely. I guess one for for me, I guess I feel like it's gonna sound kind of cheesy, but just kind of inlining what's in house. And what I mean by that is that when I mean in house, I'm talking about us five, and it's hard to have a bunch of superstars on one team and kind of gel those all together and make it work. And what I mean by that is that we're all really smart in our individual tasks. And I would just like to see it just gel a little bit better. I mean, I know we do our meetings, we're doing our Zoom, but like, I don't know. I
Be a
don't wanna-
well-oiled
I don't
machine.
want to
Just
say it with like.
I see what you mean.
I mean, nothing we're doing is bad.
Building
by
out
any
systems,
means, you know, what I mean?
standards of procedures,
100%,
structure.
definitely. And because I know we have that drive, I know we have what it takes. It's just the in-house just needs a little bit cleaning. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with it at all.
I mean, we've been doing this for 4 months, so
Facts.
if that, 3 months.
No facts.
So
It's a good goal though.
no,
it is a great goal.
especially in like Q4. Everybody knows Q4 is it's a hectic.
Yeah, we ain't got no Black
Yeah.
Friday sales though.
it's a hectic.
Y'all paying full price on Black Friday if you want to train in.
When Q1 come around,
It's
we
worth
can go
it.
ahead and just sit back for a second. Oh, breathe.
What about you, Charles? You had the question. What do you want to see?
I'm with you, man. I just want to continue to grow. I think we really a couple weeks ago we really locked in and we sat at the table and really had to, look at each other in the face and come to some hard truths. And I think ever since, that one meeting we had, everybody's been pushing on all cylinders, meaning if I didn't do something, someone else was doing it. If he didn't do it, I did it. And I didn't have to ask for it to happen. It was already happening and moving.
Emotion, yep.
And it goes back to what Zoe was saying. With what we have going right now, keeping it going, but keep, again, greasing the machine, keeping everything clicking, and even putting more effort into it on all parts, whether it's sales and marketing, whether it's getting more trainings books, whether it's more boots to the ground networking, whatever the case may be.
Or expanding RWD because we got some more things coming.
We
y'all.
got some great things.
A lot of
coming,
things,
some
honestly.
great things coming, and everything goes back to the people. It's not individual. It's not materialistic. It's really everything that we're doing is giving back in some way, in a way that's going to fulfill, just going to benefit the individuals, as a group, as an organization. So I mean that's the goal. I eat, sleep, and dream about RWD, man. So.
Not trying to cut us short here or anything. We're coming up on an hour here. I just wanted to throw out some of our ideas to let people know what we're looking forward to with this podcast. What do we think about doing?
I think keeping people up to date on the business, obviously giving them updates on what we're doing, keeping them in the loop as far as, how our trainings are going, what type of feedback we're getting, talking about the new things we got coming in the future. I think outside of that, we're going to be implementing some, entertaining aspects as well. We want you guys to get to know us, the people behind the training, but the people behind the business. I think we'll probably start finding some current social topics to talk about related around safety. I know I saw a pretty viral video the other day. I don't think we're going to get into it today, but for future examples, we want to continue to teach, not just in our trainings, not just in our classes, but our podcast, our social media. We want to entertain you, and we want to also provide education. So I think a combination of all three of those things, just business updates, continuing to educate you, continuing to entertain you. We don't want to bore you guys up here, especially with the podcast, right? We want to share relevant stuff in an engaging manner, just as we try to do in our trainings. I think if you were to sit in one of our trainings, that would be one of the most positive things you see, right? We're not corporate guys. We are still currently working in the community, doing the work, and we share those experiences. That makes it engaging training that helps people learn in a different way. It's a lot more relatable, but the podcast, what are we looking at? Like weekly episodes, maybe a couple times a month, but it's a way to stay in tune with us, learn about what we're doing.
Definitely.
Get us out there, continue to post our content. And I think that's pretty much it.
And hopefully I want
So from the marketing sales standpoint, what we looking at? What you got cooking?
Got a lot of things coming. There was a lot of things, not a lot of things, there's just some things missing in the last training that I wish we had in terms of just like advertising, like banners, getting the QR code. People nowadays are tech savvy. I mean, we're some young kings up here. I mean, I don't know if you guys have noticed. I know I look about 35, but your boy right here is only 28. You know what I mean? So,
28 and younger, baby.
But in terms of the marketing, Ruben kind of touched on it as well. We're kind of diving into a little bit of the merch aspect of it as well. It's free advertisement at our end because we should be wearing our RWD merch. But like you said, it would be cool to have like a mom or like a little kid who has an RWD beanie on, and we're at Whole Foods buying eggs and carrots and but and then in terms of like marketing and stuff, like Cav said, I mean, we got a lot of things cooking up, and we have a lot of things cooking up behind the scenes on RWD in terms of not just being a workplace training, but some other things as well that I don't know if we're going to get into or expose.
Not yet.
But-
Not
Save that for episode 2.
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
I wanted to also reiterate, not to throw in other business, but Flying Bullets, go follow that channel if you have.
Go follow. Go follow
It's a
Flying
gun
Bullets
channel. Gun channel. Me and my brother run it.
Yeah.
I'm a firearms instructor with the PD, so.
and Real World Defense supports it.
Facts.
But follow our social medias. Stay in tune, especially if you know one of us. It doesn't cost anything to hit the follow button, hit the subscribe button. Leave comments on what you guys want to hear. Current events, viral topics, all related back to safety. Let us know what you guys want to hear, and we'll dissect them as best we can as the professionals in our fields. And then we'll go through.
Could be a
like
good.
that,
That could
so.
be a good podcast segment.
Yep.
Viewer question of the week.
Yep.
I like that. And like you say, like follow all the social medias, turn on the
long as they're not
notifications and
amping.
everything as well. Like I said in the beginning, I'm a head of marketing, and I'm someone who likes to do giveaways. So we're gonna be. I'm trying to implement once a month, once a week. I don't know. I haven't really talked to these guys, but I like
Hey,
giveaways.
did you
So-
talk to our accountant about that?
Let's do that right now.
and like as I said too, like we're coming up here on some time as well, and I kind of had a question for you guys just to kind of close it out. And it is, what is one thing since starting RWD that you've seen in yourself that has changed or made you a better person, that you've seen different, like you've seen, oh, okay, now starting RWD, I never thought about this that way. What about RWD has changed your life in the last 4 months?
I got to answer. I'll keep it pretty simple. Isaiah talked about it a little bit. It's not something I talked about, but I've been a full-time entrepreneur myself for the last year, and I love that. That's something I fell into. I had an extreme passion for, but doing business with people that you care about, that you already have a relationship with, that you trust, it's completely different, right? Because even in my other business, you want to get to a point where you build a team, but it's very unlikely I'm going to build a team that I have here. Business is something that I've always been confident in. I haven't learned, full transparency, I haven't learned a ton of business lessons yet through RWD. I know they will come. It's a different sector than what I'm in outside of it. But I think it just, even if you just remove the business aspect of it, I think it speaks to just how important it is to have those relationships in your life, because whether it's RWD or not, everybody's sitting at this table. It goes without being said that, you call my phone, I got you. I call your phone, you got me. And I think it's a blessing to be able to go into business with people that you have that level of relationship with, even Chuck. And
No facts.
no, but I think that's just something I've learned, and like I'm just so excited about the future. It's just so much more meaningful when you're doing it with people that have the same values, the same mission, the same experiences. It just means that much more.
I love it.
I would say being a cop for the last 4 years, I say it's a blessing and a curse, because there's a certain way you carry yourself and what you look for in your everyday life, even outside of the uniform. Starting up RWD, really honing in on different aspects of our workplace safety trainings. When we're talking about response, logistics, and communication and mindset, some of that stuff switched or changed for me, I would say. Before, I would see somebody at a store getting cursed out by a customer, and the cop mindset is, okay, not my city, I'm not on the clock, I'm getting my eggs and I'm leaving. Now it's not that I jump in or interject, but I kind of stick around, watch a little bit, see how people are interacting with one another, to see that, yep, there still is a need for this. People still need help communicating, especially in today's day and age with all the technology, cell phones, text messages. People can't communicate. People can't talk to one another in front of each other. They can't have a grown-up conversation, I like to call I think that's one of the things that I've noticed change for me in my personal life is just more noticing those smaller interactions that are potential emergency situations, and seeing how people handle them.
Yep. And I can piggyback off that. I think one of the things is also perspective, which goes with that. Working in my field, secure facilities and a contained and controlled environment, although we still see these, the things that we teach, with my perspective and working with this business and working with these guys is one of the things when I go out, whether it's to a restaurant, I don't care if it's a movie theater, you see like the need for certain things when they become escalated, like, oh, I wish they would have done this better. I know they want to do this better. And when we interact with different groups and different clients, it's a need for it. And people want to continue to learn. And I learned a lot by working with this group, and I continue to learn and just be a sponge. And I think that need for people, wanting that, that extra layer of knowledge, that perspective for me is like, I know my world that I live in, but everyone has their own perspectives and their own way of living, and we want to be able to provide those things. So that definitely shaped my thought process.
I feel that. You got one, Rubes?
I think I'm interpreting the question. I'm going to answer in a different way.
No, go ahead.
I think what has changed in my brain since all of this has been the way I speak. Right, I'm a very laid back person. You guys are very laid, and that's just how I am. That's just me as a person.
Very
I
passionate.
mean, I can honestly see it. I
Yeah.
can see it as well.
No, true, and that's just
You're
that's just
right.
kind of how I'm wired, right? But I know when we had our first run through of the training, we're So it brought me till now. Literally today, I had a court and I'm speaking in front of a judge. I'm trying my
That
best.
changed you, huh?
Yeah, I'm trying my
That court-
best
hey,
to
I
not
tell you,
do.
that court would go crazy.
No, fact, yes. So I'm trying my best
Harvey
not to
Specter loved it.
I'm trying my best not to and I do that even like in little conversations that I have throughout the day, or I recognize it at Shift Exchange a few times at work. I've been there. I'm like, man, that's like 35 in the past 2 minutes. You know what I mean? So I think even just like to help myself improve for when we do have those trainings, right? The whole stay ready so you don't have to get ready. I just throughout daily conversation, throughout day in and day out, I try to like eliminate those lulls in conversation or those filler words, because I know when it comes to a point where you do talk in front of a group of people, I won't have to try as much to use those filler words. It might just be more natural over the next few weeks. I might limit myself to X amount of ums or whatever it may be, and it helps me when I am presenting this, and I kind of nail down what I'm doing a little bit better than I did the day before, and kind of keep that going. So that's how I interpret the question. That's how I've been going my day to day since real world defense. So
Man, I like it.
Perfect.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You got to answer the question too, Alonzo.
Oh, you guys want to hear from me? Huh? I feel like I kind of answered this earlier when I said how I kind of felt coming into RWD. It's like I said, I've been a manager for 6-7 years. Before I quit my job, I've been my own boss for the last 3.5 years. I'm the person that likes to be in charge. I'm the go ahead, like, hey, I'm the last say so.
It's teaching you to take a step back and kind of work, not as a team. You've been doing team sports your whole life, but you're also the captain there.
Yeah,
I've always I think
had that
I'm picking
leader.
up what you're putting down.
understanding and learning a new role.
Correct.
Yes.
You're not used to getting pushback or different opinions and having to.
I guess in a sense. And then
Work
that
with
goes back
him.
to what I was saying before. Like we're smart individuals to where you put us all on the same team. We're gonna have that button heads every once in a while, and that's good because it shows that we're all working.
And care, yes.
Oh, facts. So I mean, yeah, I guess like you were saying, it's just accepting my role and in a position to where I know I still like I'm the marketing manager. You know what I mean? I still have that title, but not I'm the owner. I'm the co-founder title. No,
It's okay. It's okay.
Sorry, there's a lot of co-founders. It's not that special.
I guess. Yeah, you're a co-founder. You're a co-founder.
All right. What's the website? What's the Instagram? Where can they find us? Contact us?
Go before all that right now, if you haven't already, go down and smash that like button and subscribe button, and make sure you turn on the post notifications to let you guys know when we drop new videos. Like I said, we're probably gonna do once a month, maybe once a week. Oh no, this is our first podcast. We haven't
I had a little fun. We might do it once a day.
I know. We're coming at
still
you guys
here.
every day.
Turn this one off and do
Filming
another
episode 2 right after.
But yeah, follow us out on TikTok as well at real dot
World.defense.
defense, and
That's
we're
on all. That's on all socials.
on IG as well.
Yep.
So and YouTube is just the only one that's Real World Defense.
Yep, website realworlddefense.com. If you want to get in contact with us, the number is 763-228-2551.
one. We are looking to expand outside of the Midwest. So if you're outstate, not in Minnesota, feel free to connect with us. May not be right now, but it will be soon. So
Next week.
yeah.
Yeah.
Real people, real situations.
Real defense.
We'll see y'all on the next podcast, y'all.